Help me, Robert the Bruce. You're my only hope.
What's up, YeshGamers? Robert the Bruce here, bringing you the answer to all of your long-range weapon problems. Now, obviously, if you've already found a weapon that you love for long-range engagements, like the T-21, or heck, even one of the Star Card sniper-ish rifles, well, that's fine. If you haven't messed with the EE-3, though, allow me to make introductions. EE-3 meet Gamer. Gamer meet a long-range behemoth that will have you defending objectives like a boss. And I'm not talking about a mid-level management boss who has a decent salary but is really stressed all the time. I'm talking CEO level. The EE-3 is a 3-burst rifle, and I know that will turn a lot of people away right there. Now, if you don't like burst weapons, then you won't be immediately interested here, but I implore you to consider burst weapons in your arsenal. Usually players don't like them because they just haven't spent much time with them, but there are huge benefits to burst weapons in the right situation. It forces you to manage cooldown a little better than a full auto blaster, where you just press down the trigger, forget about your responsibilities, start daydreaming, and then wham, your blaster overheated. Anywho, I digress. The EE-3 is an absolutely lovely weapon for defending or attacking objectives on larger maps. It is not ideal for a round of TDM on close quarters maps, so don't try and use it in the wrong situation and then complain that it's garbage and run back to the overpowered DL-44 or some such silliness. The Jakku map is a perfect example of a really great place to use the EE-3 on defense and offense. It hits like an angry linebacker, so enemies will often get dropped before they can get behind cover once you've got them in your sights. Now, if you haven't thought about leading your targets or you simply don't engage faraway enemies often, it is time to practice. Let's think about it. The EE-3 shines at long distances. Enemies will often be running perpendicular to you. That means sideways, FYI. At long range, while shooting at an enemy running sideways, you will have to lead them or your shots won't hit. How much you lead depends on how far away they are and how fast they're moving, so there isn't an exact formula, but it won't take long practicing it to start to get the hang of it. Now, one trick that'll help you lead your target and get a few more hits is to slightly lead them a little more and a little less during each burst. So what that basically means is you end up adjusting how much you lead throughout each burst. This gives you a much better chance of having at least one of the shots land on the enemy. Now, you'll take them down quickly still because the EE-3 packs a Mike Tyson-sized punch. And I'm talking about Tyson in the old NES game, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, not the late-career face-tattooed guy who bites when he's losing. So, at long range, it's great, but what about up close? Well, you're not totally out of luck. You just have to remember the golden rule of combat in Battlefront when it comes to close quarters battles. Hip fire, and if you're wondering what you should do, then hip fire. The EE-3 can still do some nasty work up close, but you need to be hip firing and strafing. And I mean old school Quake tournament style strafing. Move around, use cover. Jetpack away if necessary, but make yourself hard to hit. This is really true of any weapon in close quarters, but you can get away with dancing around less with some of the blasters that are made for up-close and personal interactions. Now, throughout this video, I get a decent number of close quarters kills, but I'm always hip-firing, and if they engage me, I'm making myself a tough target to hit. Now, what pairs well with EE-3 in terms of star cards? Well, I would argue that you don't want the pulse rifle or cycler rifle, since your main weapon handles the long-range battles. I like to run with 2 grenades. This gives me more options for close-range battles, and I've found it to be extremely useful. Now, the last thing I'll mention is also extremely important. Please, 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 do not be the guy who sits back with this weapon and never plays the objective. Now, on defense, that's fine because you're still playing the objective by defending a capture point. On offense, though, don't hide 5 miles away from the battle trying to protect your KD. Engage enemies at range, use this weapon the way it's meant to be used, but move up and capture points with your buddies. In this video, when I'm on offense, you don't see me sitting at the back of the pack. I'm moving up to capture points and then keeping the enemy at bay with the long-range abilities of this weapon. Don't be the guy who wins the game 30-2, but never attacked an objective and then is wondering why his team lost. So, that's the EE-3. Now, if you haven't given it a fair shake, I highly encourage you to do so on maps that are good for it. Hit me up with your thoughts below. Yell out, "Play the objective," while you click the like button. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the battlefield.